Eh bien, désolé pour cette petite absence. On est reparti. Parler à Edgar. Edgar, c'est qui ça? Ouais, c'est le docteur, ouais. Mais je crois que lui, je peux lui donner...
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Appuyez sur RB pour voir l'état de santé du citoyen. Soigner un citoyen améliorera sa qualité de sang ainsi que la situation sanitaire du quartier. Et ça donne aussi des points d'expérience. Putain, je l'avais pas dit ça?
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
Bah,
You are not
donnez.
a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Ah bah voilà.
How painful is your
So painful I'd rather...
Bon, ça va pas régler... il parle toujours pas, mais bon. Au moins, il est soigné. Comment on voit qu'il est... Donc lui, il est plus malade, c'est déjà une bonne nouvelle. Toujours pas d'indice, mais c'est pas grave. Lui, il est malade, lui, fatigue. En fait, c'est ceux qui ont un petit symbole jaune qui sont malades. C'est ça. Clay Cox. Ah, mais c'est le gars que... Oui, c'est ça. N'oubliez pas que le centre des citoyens vous apporte énormément d'expérience. Cherchez les citoyens niveau à niveau. Je veux pas manger des gens, fous-moi la paix le jeu. Bon, il est à l'étage, j'imagine. Ah. Oh non, il avait l'air pressé, mais...
It's locked, all right.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
Vos paroles sont carrées, confortantes, ce n'est pas un cadeau. Je suis l'incarnation d'un paradoxe. Ouais.
There is an absurd poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
Ça n'a rien d'amusant. Nous avons besoin l'un de l'autre.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
D'accord. Est-ce qu'on a des nouveaux dialogues avec lui?
Do you need something, Jonathan?
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
Ah, voilà.
You mentioned something about a secret society. A brotherhood, if I recall. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings, and the penny dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
The sun. The morning following my transformation. Its rays burned me. There was pain, smoke, and my skin blackened.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Oh.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Ok, c'est plutôt clair.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide health care.
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
What do you expect of me?
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor, the sick of the East End, the forgotten.
D'accord.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
How do Skulls come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skull?
A skull is easier to eliminate, Jonathan. even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
Ok, c'est tout. Voilà.
We'll see each other again soon, Ed.
On a appris quelques trucs, mais pas non plus la folie. Mais c'est mieux que rien, on va dire. Alors. Lettre de mise en garde. Plusieurs réserves concernant le docteur Strickland et son traitement d'armes physiques. D'accord. Nouvel indice avec un docteur. Alors, ah, ouh, il y a pas mal de papiers ici. Les espères rares de vampires. Oula. Encore un petit truc? Non? Ah, si. Lettre de Rakesh. On a un nouvel indice sur lui. Parfait. On va peut-être aller dormir un peu pour donner de l'XP là, prendre des niveaux. Parce que ça peut être utile, hein, avoir des nouveaux sorts. Et peut-être craft un peu aussi, je vais voir si je peux... Tiens, c'est ouvert ici. Pas l'autre chose. Ok. Pas censé y avoir une porte ici? Donc j'ai une chambre qui a vue sur l'extérieur et il n'y a pas de porte. C'est un concept intéressant. Vous avez assez d'ingrédients pour fabriquer un médicament, traitement ou sérum. Ok, c'est plutôt une bonne nouvelle. Fatigue. C'est un fatigue hein, que je dois faire si je dis pas de conneries. Attends, on va vérifier. Donc lui il est plus malade et lui il a fatigue, c'est ça. Là il y a personne qui est malade, lui il a fatigue aussi. Donc en fait il faudrait 2 fatigues. Voilà. Bonne valeur, alors on a assez de compos, ça sert à rien. 2, 6, 9. Ah, j'ai récupéré des munitions en fait. Ah bah voilà, bah voilà. Tiens, c'est... Ah non, c'est pour ressortir. Tactique. Vous utilisez votre endurance pour vous fondre dans les ombres et devenir invisible pour la plupart des ennemis. Se déplacer dans cet état consomme encore plus d'endurance. Vous sortez des ombres si vous attaquez, esquivez ou lorsque l'endurance est épuisée. Vous foncez sur votre cible avec une vitesse surnaturelle et lui atterrissez dessus pour infliger des dégâts. Ok. Intéressant. Ça coûte combien ça? « 500 », bon ça va. Voilà, comme ça on a l'ultime. Je peux déjà l'améliorer en 2 en fait. On va améliorer un peu les PV. Ah, 3 sérums. Le nombre de balles aussi. Ah. Augmente votre régénération de vie lorsque vous utilisez... Régénération de vie. Voilà. Voulez-vous vraiment annuler? Non. Événement majeur dans le quartier. Quoi? Ah ouais, il se passe vraiment des trucs en fait. Merde. Chaque nuit, les conséquences de vos actes peuvent améliorer ou dégrader la situation sanitaire du quartier. Celle-ci peut aussi se détériorer si des maladies se propagent. Oh là 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 là. Plus vous tuerez de citoyens, plus un quartier deviendra insalubre. Si la situation sanitaire d'un quartier tombe sous le seuil critique, ce quartier plongera dans le chaos. Il n'appartient qu'à vous de décider du sort d'un quartier. Bon bah lui est plus malade, il n'y a plus qu'à donner à lui. Ça a l'air d'aller là, ça s'est bien passé. Ça je sais pas, ça non plus. C'est stable, grave là-bas, ok. Toujours pas de porte, hein, on va pas trop en demander. Bah du coup je peux me barrer par là en fait. Ah ouais. Ok. Pourquoi pas. Oh tiens, il y a de nouveau des compos là-dedans. Oh mais s'il faut à chaque fois tout visiter, on va pas y arriver. Alors il y avait deux médecins qui avaient lui il avait des infos sur un truc je crois.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good
Enfin, j'avais
evening
un
to
nouveau
you,
truc.
Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Ils ont l'air de beaucoup s'apprécier ces deux-là.
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Ok. Des rumeurs?
Have you heard any talk of blackmail going on in the hospital?
If you're running some official inquiry, you had better question the patients. They know more than the staff, especially old Miss Jones.
Ok, c'était plutôt clair.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Bon, je crois qu'il y avait
Good
rien de
evening,
nouveau
Mr.
chez lui.
Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Have you heard talk of any blackmail here at the hospital?
No, nothing.
Ok.
Goodbye for now.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
Elle a toujours les mains pleines de son, celle-là. Ah, je lui avais pas parlé à elle, en fait.
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
D'accord.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
Alors, qu'en est-il des protocoles médicaux? Ouais, les
What
protocoles.
about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
Ouais, j'imagine bien.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane.
Ouais, ciao. Tiens, j'avais pas un truc à dire avec elle? Bon, on verra.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Have you heard about any blackmail going on in this hospital?
Blackmail? Nonsense.
D'accord.
Thank you for your...
Alors après, lui, il a pas vraiment envie de me parler, du coup, forcément, ça aide pas. Ça, c'est celui avec ses lunettes. Ok, il a plus rien à dire, lui.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Ah, logiquement, ça doit aller, je l'ai soigné un peu.
Have you heard rumors of blackmail going on in this hospital?
Dr. Reed, are you trying to take advantage of me?
Of course not, Mrs. Goswick. I'm just curious.
Well, go be curious somewhere else, please.
Ok.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Les gens sympas, quoi.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Ça va, il va mieux? Ok.
Have you heard rumors?
No,
Ok. Ok.
How...
so painful overall.
Bon, il a toujours extrêmement mal, donc il a pas envie de parler.
I have to go...
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Bah, au moins, il a plus de fatigue. Voyons le bon côté.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye.
Ok, je peux pas lui parler des rumeurs, elle. Tiens, ça c'est qui, ça?
Good evening, Dr. Tibbet.
Ah oui, lui, j'ai besoin de parler.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
I have no time for such triviality, my dear colleague. We're here to save lives.
Ok. Je peux pas lui parler du cadavre qu'il a inspecté ou je sais pas quoi, là? Bon, après, il y avait l'autre aussi, Wignet, ou je sais pas comment elle s'appelle. Ce sera peut-être plus simple d'avoir des infos d'elle. Si je la trouve, évidemment. C'est qui, ça? Ah bah c'est elle, je crois.
Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening.
Ah bah non.
Goodbye.
Opium. On dit jamais non. Donc les caisses se réapprovisionnent, ça c'est plutôt pas mal. Ça.
If only there were more
Ah, c'est elle qu'il faut parler.
less resignation and more determination.
I know I can count on you. I wish I could say the same for the others.
You look exhausted. You're pushing yourself too hard. You don't have to bear the burdens of this hospital.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
C'est bizarre ça.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need us.
J'avais une quête normalement. Trouver la cause de la mort. Si je fais suivre. Ah ouais, d'accord, ouais. C'est pas la porte à côté.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Bah comme d'hab, on change pas les habitudes.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
There are a lot of secrets round here. I'm not surprised someone tried to make money from them.
What kind of secrets?
I'm not in the gossip business, Dr. Reed. If you want to know more, you better talk to Harriet Jones. She's the oldest patient here.
Goodbye.
Ok, il faut aller parler à Jones. Bon, elle, on pouvait pas y aller. C'est vrai que j'ai pas parlé à tous les patients. J'ai parlé à qui? Ah. Lui j'avais fait, c'est ceux qui sont de l'autre côté là-bas. Ah, bah la vampire, tiens, pas la vampire.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
I need blood, Doctor.
Oui, je sais que t'as besoin de sang, ouais. On commence à le savoir.
Have you heard of any blackmailing going on within these walls?
I have no time for mortal games. My secrets are beyond their comprehension, Dr. Reed.
Super. Et tout le monde est inutile dans cet hôpital. Bon, lui, je lui ai pas parlé double face.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Ah, je peux lui demander la véritable raison de ses blessures et à propos de la maladie.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during the leave. It was an accident.
Ah d'accord. Pourquoi mentir?
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans. And it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
La chirurgie pourrait vous aider, la beauté physique ne veut pas tout. On s'en fout ça. Vous ne pouvez pas vous cacher éternellement. Qu'est-ce que je pourrais lui dire? J'hésite entre pas cacher éternellement ou la chirurgie pourrait vous aider. Mais... la chirurgie, j'ai l'impression qu'il va me dire ouais mais ça coûte cher et tout et on peut pas ici.
You know you can't hide forever. One day you'll have to face your loved ones. Until that day you have no chance of real recovery.
My friends all died in the trenches. It's shameful enough to be alive with these stupid scars. I don't want my children to see me like this.
Ouais.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Juin.
Ah ouais, ok.
Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Ok, ah ouais, j'avoue que c'est pas terrible, hein, autant dire, ouais. Il essaye de dire que ça a été fait du coup pendant la guerre sur le front. Effectivement, il y a une différence quand même.
How close are you to Miss Hawcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
J'avoue.
You told me before you don't want your children to see you like this. Do you have any other family?
My sister Agatha has raised me nippers since their mother died. Don't want them to look at me like this.
How could children despise their father injured in the war?
What do you think? They saw me. Once. My poor angels left the room crying. They keep on having nightmares every week, my sister told me.
Ouais, ça a pas l'air fun.
Your sister's not a child. I'm sure she has nothing but respect for a wounded soldier, and you are her brother.
You don't know my sister Agatha. She may be young, but she's all discipline and morality. If she ever found out what really happened...
She doesn't have to know.
She's a sly one, my sister. One day she'll find out the truth and knock 7 bells out of me. Nah. I'm better off here.
Have you heard rumors of underhand dealings in the hospital?
If you want to know what's going on here, you better talk to Miss Jones. She knows everything. Especially what she shouldn't.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Faudrait que je sache où elle est, Jones. On va voir avec lui.
Hello again, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye.
It's locked.
Ouais, je dirais que c'est elle, mais je peux pas passer, donc ça va être compliqué. C'est vrai que j'ai pas parlé au docteur là-bas.